Kitty.
And I'm Jennifer.
And we're the O'Neill sisters.
And we're going to show you how to make a boho chic wrap bracelet. This is one of our absolute favorite bracelets.
In this video, we'll show you every step to make the bracelet. We'll show you all the materials, and we'll show you how to get started by making a loop and a knot, and that's going to be part of the clasp.
Then we'll show you how to create a pattern with the beads, going back and forth between large beads and small beads with knots.
Finally, we'll show you how to put on the clasp and finish the ends.
And if you love the beads that we chose for this project, we have kits available on our blog, runningwithsisters.com.
Let's get started.
To make this boho bracelet, the first thing you need is 2 different lengths of leather cord. We have a 70-inch piece and a 35-inch piece, and we're using black.
And then you need some beads. We have 7 large beads and 7 small beads, and our large beads have a large hole, big enough for the cord to go through 2 times. The smaller beads only need the cord to go through 1 time. And then we also have a clasp, and we did all of these in silver.
For tools, we're using scissors and a ruler. The first thing we're going to do is take all of our leather cords and tie a knot at one end.
So to do that, I've got the long cord here, which is 70 inches long, and I'm going to align the ends of the 70-inch cord. I've got it folded over. I've got the 2 ends aligned here, and then I'm just going to run down to the other end, and I have a little loop here at the end.
That's a quick way to find the middle.
That's how you find the middle,
yeah.
and make a little loop like that. And then I'm going to take my 35-inch cord, and I'm going to set it right next to that loop, the same length there. Run that alongside, and now I've got 3 pieces of cord 35 inches long because I folded the 70-inch one over. Then we make a little knot right here. I'm just going to make a simple overhand knot, just making a loop like that, crossing the end over the neck of the bracelet here, and then taking this end and tucking it up under. Simple knot. And I want this loop here to be about 3/4 of an inch long. This is going to be half of our clasp. So our clasp will go through that. So I don't want it too big. So I'm just going to roll that knot up a little bit. Make that loop a little bit smaller. It's a little horsey if it's too big.
Yeah, and if you find that your loop is bigger than you want it, you can just loosen the knot a little bit and roll it toward the end. Or if it's too small, again, you can just loosen it and roll it the other way.
Very forgiving. So this will be part of our clasp like that.
It's great.
And now we can bead the cords.
Yeah, so for this bracelet, this design, what we're doing is taking 2 cords and running them through a large bead and alternating with a small cord and a single bead with knots. Yes. We'll show you what that looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take 2 of the cords and I'm going to find the end of them here, like this. And I'm going to take a large bead and slide those 2 cords through the large bead, like that. And if you have any trouble getting them through, if they're right next to each other, it's a little wide to go through the large bead, even though this is a large hole bead. You can misalign the ends like that, so one's a little longer than the other, and then feed them through, and it just goes through a little easier.
A little trick.
It's a little trick. And I'm just going to slide those down toward the loop that Kitty made here, like that. Just like that. And now I want to take the cord that's left over, this single cord, and I'm going to tie a knot in this cord, but I want the knot to be about 2 inches from the main knot over here. So actually, will you hand me the ruler?
Sure.
Thank y'all. So I'm going to measure approximately 2 inches from that knot, and I'm going to make a little knot in this single cord. And to do that, I'm just holding on to where I measured that 2-inch mark. I'm going to make a little loop. And then I'm going to take the end of my cord and feed it up through that loop, just like that, and pull it tight where I'm holding it. And what that will do is put the knot right on the cord where I want it.
Nice.
So there you go. And now what we want to do is slide the single tiny bead, smaller bead, onto the single cord, just like that. Slide that up right next to the knot. So there's our knot. And now I want to make another knot right on the other side of that small bead. And I'm going to do that the same way. I'm going to make a loop, holding it in place, feeding the end up through, and pulling it tight.
And those knots will keep that single bead in place on that cord. but the large bead can move around. So it's got a little bit of movement where the large cord is, but you won't have all the beads bunched up at one end because they're spaced out by the small bead and the knots.
Yeah, so you can see that slides around and then this one will stay in place. Super fun. So now what we want to do is take our single cord that is coming out of our small bead, and we're going to borrow one of the cords coming out of the large bead and pair those up. So I've paired those up, find the ends of those two cords like that. I'm going to misalign them again because I think that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I'm going to feed it the two cords through a large bead. So you always feed two cords through a large bead.
Yes, and then the single cord that's left over will get a knot, a small bead, and a knot, just like we did before.
Exactly, so you can see we've got 3 beads on there now, and I've got a new cord that's our leftover cord, and that's the one that's going to get the knots and the small bead.
Yes.
And I want that to be, again, about 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 1/4, doesn't have to be exact, from my last knot. So I'm going to steal the ruler again here.
Yes.
Measure that.
It doesn't need to be exact.
Not at all. So if you're someone that likes to measure things,
feel free.
yes, but if not, you know.
You can just eyeball it, and you can also move all the knots around at the end if you don't like where they ended up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's very forgiving.
Yeah. Plus, this is going to be a wrap bracelet wrapped around your wrist 3 times, so the beads are sort of here and there. It kind of doesn't truly matter where they are exactly.
Yes.
So there's our single bead on the single cord, or small bead on the single cord next to the knot.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to tie another knot, just like that, in the holding the cord in place, holding that little loop. And if you end up pulling your knot tight and it's too far away from your bead, don't worry. As Kitty said, you can always move your knot. So you can just loosen the knot like that and slide it up closer to the bead.
Yes.
So that it's kind of more...
It looks nice next to the bead like that.
It's tidier that way.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do the same thing we've been doing, which is borrow one of the cords from the large bead and pairing it up with, I'm making a mess here, there we go. Pairing it up with the one coming out of the small bead. So you see that? We're borrowing this cord and using our single cord. We're going to feed those two through a large bead. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep feeding on my beads until all the beads are on the cord, and then we'll show you how to finish the end. We finished putting all of the beads onto our leather cords. You can see our pattern here of the large beads on 2 cords and the small beads with knots on single cords, and it kind of goes back and forth. And you can see the large bead moves around, which is fun.
A little movement, that's nice.
And now we're ready to put on the clasp.
So we're going to put the clasp on at the end where we have all the ends of our cords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the longest of those cords, and I'm going to feed the end of it through the smaller hole in my clasp. And what I want to do is I want to fold this cord back on itself. So it's doubled back to the first bead there. And what that does is it creates 4 cords where I had 3 before. There were 3 here, I folded 1 back, now I've got 4 in my hand. I'm going to make a knot in that 4 cords, and it's a simple overhand knot like we did before. To do that, I just make a loop and then feed the ends up through. I like to feed the ends through one at a time so I know that I have them all. So I've got this loose end going up through the center.
It's definitely easier to do them one at a time because it's a lot of cords that you're managing.
This way you know that you've captured all the cords in the knot. This is the second loose cord, and then this is the clasp on that loop end. And that's an overhand knot, 2 pieces sticking out one side, 1 sticking out the other. That's how you'll know that that's done correctly. And then I can just tighten that knot up. This is a good time to try on the bracelet to see if you like the length of it because it's still adjustable at this point. So it wraps around 3 times. I'm just going to hold the clasp here.
Yeah, you could just try it on yourself
and try it on. Yeah, 1, 2, and there's 3. And then here's my clasp.
That looks pretty good.
There. It's perfect for me. If you do want to make an adjustment in it, what you'll want to do is loosen this knot and slide this clasp out a little bit, or bring the cord in and slide it in a little bit and then retie that knot. And then I want this knot to be a little bit closer to the clasp, so this is about 3/4 of an inch. I want the loop to look the same as the one we made before. Right now it's just a little bit bigger. And so I can actually just slide the knot up like that.
It's super easy and adjustable.
So now that I've got that the way I want it, I want to trim these ends. These got poked up inside that loop. So I'm going to trim these to, I think, about a 1/2 inch.
Oh, I think that's fun. It's
And
nice to leave a little bit of an end sticking out, sort of
yes,
boho looking.
the little tail's part of the look there. So I've got those two to trim. Then I've got this one to trim. And you might remember that we had an end on our first loop that we made at the very beginning. I'm going to trim that one just a little bit shorter.
Yeah, it's close, but it needs a little bit of a trim.
And then the way we're going to clasp this is we're going to take that S hook and we're going to feed in our loop that we made at the beginning. And then when we wear it, we're going to wrap it around 3 times. Look how fun those beads are.
I love it. It's gorgeous.
And that's how we make the boho wrap bracelet.